Hello, and thanks for joining us today on 24 Plus. I'm Kevin McNamara here with Linda Phillips of the Shelby County Election Commission. Linda, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So obviously we are just a couple of days away now from the start of early voting. Is that correct?
That's correct. Early voting starts on Friday.
All right, and there's a lot of changes this time around, huh?
Not so many. We did have to change one location.
Okay.
Was not available to us out in the Lakeland area.
Okay.
International Harvester Park wasn't available, so we have switched to the Christian Life Church on Davies Plantation Road.
Gotcha. So the voting location
Right.
changed.
Yeah.
So we've had the redistricting effort.
Right.
That is a lot of changes that are happening. That's not going to impact your voting too much, though.
No, redistricting had no impact on where polling places are.
Okay.
We did have to change a couple of polling places for other reasons. You know, building got sold. They don't have any air conditioning in one. It's not like we could have an election in August without air conditioning. But redistricting had no impact on where people vote.
Okay, gotcha. So we shouldn't expect to see any kind of changes as a result of that in terms of the voting process?
No.
Gotcha.
No, it's just who they vote for.
Gotcha. So what do people need to know then here?
Well, I would recommend that they go to shelbyvote.com and look at the election, see who the candidates are. The sample ballots are posted on shelbyvote.com, as is the complete schedule. Generally, early voting downtown starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 5. And the other locations are 11 to 7, and there's 25 other locations. Saturday hours vary, so go to shelbyvote.com and check it out.
Gotcha. Now, I do know we had this issue recently with the some of the ballots that went out didn't have all of the races on them or questions. That's an issue that you guys are fixing, as I understand?
Oh, it's already fixed.
Yeah.
We did our audit and public test yesterday, and all the ballots for early voting are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So. And we expect about 100,000 voters to vote in early voting, so we're ready for them.
Yeah. How does that compare to previous elections?
I'm thinking it's going to be a little higher. So I think there's a lot of interest in this election, and voters are concerned about redistricting. So I think they're going to come out and vote.
Yeah. And so what are some of the things that are changing here then?
That's nothing changed particularly, but voters do need to be sure to bring a photo ID when they have come to vote. Now, a voter can vote anywhere at early voting, so any of the 26 locations they can go to. You see one of our big red, white, and blue signs, just stop in and take care of it. But if you wait until Election Day, you have to vote in your correct precinct. And so the easiest way to make sure you're in your correct precinct is to put your address into our district locator on shelbyvote.com.
Okay.
So it's right there at the homepage on a banner. So.
Yeah. And so if someone was redistricted, would that have changed as well, potentially?
That will tell you what districts you are in. So, but we did also, every voter's household where there was an active voter got a postcard telling them if their district had changed, what their new district was, or if their district had stayed the same, what that was. So we sent those out. Oh, they've been out. Gosh, they went out around the 1st of June.
Okay, okay, good to know. And then, I know this week there was the testing of the voting machines, as I understand.
Right.
Sort of, what does that process look like? What goes into something like that?
Well, the testing of the voting machines is, frankly, from our standpoint, an almost continuous process. But this week we did end-to-end testing. So we did 450 ballots, starting as checking in the voter, taking the voter card, making sure the machines brought up the correct ballot, voting them, and then making sure the tabulations were right. And they were perfect. So yesterday we had our auditors come in and they check every ballot split to make sure that the correct races are on those splits. So, and they, again, no problems at all.
Gotcha. So we know that there's not going to be another issue like we saw here.
No.
Good.
No.
That's good idea. What about mail-in voting?
Well, so far we've had about 1,400 requests, and it's a two-step process. You have to ask us for a ballot, and then we have to send you one. So you have to fill out the form, which again is available on shelbyvote.com. If you go to the Elections tab, Upcoming Elections, you'll find the form. That needs a real signature. You can't fill it out by computer and type in your name. We have to compare your signature to what we have on file. Then you send that to us, and we'll send it back. We'll send you a ballot. Now, we're just, a little more than 3 weeks out, so if you want to vote by mail, I would get it in very quickly.
Gotcha. And anything else that are the essentials that people need to know?
Well, early voting starts Friday and it ends August 1st. So, and early voting is easier. If you've changed your address or you've moved, it's much easier to change your address at early voting than it is on election day. So,
Right.
So early vote if you can.
Yeah. And how would someone make sure that they are registered to vote if they haven't?
Again, you can go to shelbyvote.com, and under the Voters tab, it can take you to the lookup site. And it'll tell you if you're registered, or you can call us at 222-1200.
And what if someone is unregistered and wants to become registered? What is that process?
Well, then we will give you a form. It's too late, of course, to register for the August election, but you'll be all set for November.
Okay, that's good. And are there any sort of key races or ballot questions that are going to be on this ballot that you guys are expecting a lot of?
Well, it's a primary election and a general election, so a voter either needs to specify the Democratic or the Republican ballot, or if they don't want to pick a party, they can get the general election only ballot. And the general election only ballot is the county mayor, county commissioners, some county offices, judges, and then there is a referendum on that.
So you can vote both in the primary and the general at the same same motion.
Yeah, if you pull a Republican or Democratic ballot, it starts with the primary and then it's at the general. It has the general offices.
So you can choose to not vote in the primary.
Right.
Essentially.
Yes.
And just do the general. Is that common where you have both happening at the same time?
Yeah, it's traditionally the way we do it in Tennessee. It's been that way the entire time I've been here. It was a little hard to get used to, frankly. But, but yeah, it's it's the way we do things in Tennessee.
Yeah, and how many different you said there are 26?
There are 26 early voting locations, and there are 142 election day locations.
Okay. Wow.
So you're much closer to your election day location if you're in the right place. If you've changed your address, be sure you wait to vote on election day, be sure that you know what your new polling place is, because you have to vote at your new polling place if you've moved. So go to shelbyvote.com, put in your address, it'll tell you what the polling place is, go there, even if you're registered at someplace else.
Yeah, and would you recommend someone does early voting just to make sure?
Yeah, it's much easier if you've changed your address to early vote because you're never in the wrong place.
Yeah. So. And what would you say is the ratio then typically between early voting and day of?
Usually early voting is about 60% of the total vote. Absentee is about 2%, and then the rest are election day voters. Because there's still some voters that just like to vote on election day, and we're fine with that. So.
Yeah, has that grown or changed in all of the years, or?
Well, early voting is much more popular than it used to be when it was instituted about 20 years ago. And so it's more popular in some areas than others. In some areas, we have as many as 75% of the people vote early, and in some areas, only 30% vote early. So overall, it's about 60%.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you're expecting more voters this time. Are we seeing a growth of more registered voters here in Shelby County?
Our registration stays fairly constant. Registration is really a function of population.
Yeah.
So, but I am seeing a lot of interest in this election. So there's a lot of getting out the vote efforts. So
yeah.
And
we're
ready.
What is your office's role in any of that?
Well, we don't really actively do get out the vote. That's not our mission. That's really the job of politicians and community organizations and people who have interest in issues on the ballot. Our job is to make sure that we can accommodate it, and that's what we do.
Yeah. What do you see your role then as?
Well, our role is to provide safe and secure and fair elections, and easy polling places to get to, convenient hours as best we can manage under Tennessee law, and that's our role.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot more interest in that type of thing over the past decade or so. Is that what? Have you guys had to ramp up your efforts to make things at least seem safer and more secure than maybe in the past? Yeah,
we've been, we have our new renovation of our warehouse and operations facility. One of the things we did when we designed that was to make sure that there was more windows where people could watch and see what was happening, and just be more transparent. So.
Right. You can be a nonpartisan observer as well. Is that a thing you can do?
You can do any. Yeah, you can be a poll watcher, but those are generally appointed by parties or organizations who have an interest in something on the ballot. But if you're bored on election night, you can just come on out and watch.
Yeah. Are you in need of any volunteers or things like that?
Well, we are still hiring a few poll workers. Most of our poll workers are hired for August, but if you're interested in being a poll workers get paid $280 for the day and then $60 for training.
Okay.
But go to shelbyvote.com, and there's a tab that's marked poll workers, and there's an application there. And so we'd especially love to hear from Republicans because state law requires us to have a balance of the parties, and we have lots of Democrats in Shelby County, more than we have Republicans, so it's sometimes a little hard to get the party balance that we need.
Gotcha. All right. Well, and anything else you'd like the people to know?
Just be sure to bring a photo ID and be in the right place if you wait till Election Day.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with us, Linda.
Well, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back with more news after this.